Guys, in this tutorial we are discussing about collections data type. Okay, collection data types. So till now we discussed only only five data types. Those are nothing but fundamental data types. Okay, we discussed integer, then floating, and then string, complex, boolean. Okay, till now we discussed these five data types, right? So that means like these five data types are called as fundamental data types in Python. Okay, these five data types are called as fundamental data types in Python. So along with fundamental data types, we have next set of data types that those are called as collections data types. Okay, the next set of data types are called as collections data types. So in collections data types, okay, in collections data type mainly we have many data types. Okay, out of that, first one which we are discussing currently is nothing but bytes data type. Okay, the first one which we are discussing is nothing but bytes data type. So bytes data type is nothing but bytes is a collection of numbers. Okay, bytes is a collection of numbers only. Okay, bytes is a data type in which we will have collection of numbers, that too under range of 0 to 256. Okay, that too under range of 0 to 256. Okay, in the bytes data type we will have only numbers. Okay, we can that too only under 256 numbers we can take. Okay, other than that we cannot take. And also one thing we need to remember about the bytes data type is immutable. Okay, bytes is completely immutable data type. That means like once we create bytes object, then we cannot change the data inside that. Okay, once we create any bytes object, we cannot mutate. We can mutation in the sense changing. Okay, once we create bytes object, then we cannot change the data inside bytes object. Okay, now next thing is we have to use bytes function. Okay, next thing is nothing but we have to use bytes function to create bytes object. Okay, so directly we cannot create bytes object in directly we cannot create bytes object in Python. Okay, suppose if we want to create a bytes object, then we need to use this function called as bytes. Okay, we need to use this function called as bytes function. Okay, so now let's move to the IDLE and we will see how we can work with this bytes data type. Okay, now let me create a collection of elements. Basically I'm taking numbers from 10 to 50. Okay, I'm taking numbers 10 to 50 as a collection. So by default, okay, by default if we check the data type here, okay, by default it will come as a list, because in Python anything, okay, in Python anything taken inside square brackets will be considered as list only. By default it will be considered as a list. So now this list whatever I have created, if I want to convert into bytes object, then I need to use this function called as bytes function. Okay, whenever I have used this function called bytes, then only I can create a bytes object. So now this is the bytes object what we have created. Now if I check the type of L, okay, if I check the type of L, see, it is showing us bytes object. That means that means like without using this bytes function we cannot, okay, we cannot create a bytes object. And of course when we create a bytes object, data is not perfectly readable. Okay, data is not completely readable for us. Now if we check the first element, okay, if we check the first element in this okay, if we check the first element in this bytes. Okay, so first element we need to, okay, we can check by using the indexing. Okay, by using the indexing. So here 0th in 0th index we have the element called as 10. Okay, so in 0th index we have the element. Okay, so index starts like this, right? So first element is 0th, second is first, this is the second index, third index, fourth index, like that it will go. So now the element present at 0th index is nothing but 10. Okay, the element present at 0th index is 10. So now if I check, okay, if I print, it is 10. Now I don't want this 0th element as 10. I want to change this 0th element as something like 123. See, if I want to change the element of okay, if I want to update the element of in a position to one element to another element, then okay, then we can change by using this. Okay, bytes object does not support item assignment. That, okay, that means like once we create a bytes object, then we cannot mutate the, okay, then we cannot mutate the content present inside the bytes object. Okay, we cannot mutate the content. Now Now that means like okay, so whenever we want to change mutate the elements, okay, whenever we want to change the elements inside a bytes object, that is not possible. Okay, now another thing which I want to discuss here is nothing but, suppose we, if we take, okay, if you are, okay, now I'm creating a list which contains some data which is more than 250, 255. Suppose if I'm taking some numbers like 257, but as per the understanding, we should take the, okay, we should take the numbers in between this 0 to 256 range. So now what I'm taking a number which is beyond 256. Okay, in this case, let's see what happens. Now if I'm trying to convert this into bytes object, now see, obviously it is not possible. That means, see here, bytes must be in range of 0 to 256. That means only in this particular range only we can, okay, in this particular, with this particular range only we can create a bytes object. Okay, beyond that we cannot create. And one more thing here I want to tell you here is like, yeah, now if suppose along with integers, okay, along with integers, if I have some strings, okay, if I have some strings, then in this case also, if I'm trying this, okay, if I'm trying to convert this into bytes object, okay, if I'm trying to convert this into bytes object, even in this case also it is not possible, because string object cannot be okay, string object cannot be interpreted as integer. That means once you create a, okay, once you want to create a bytes object, then you cannot include strings inside that. Okay, you cannot include strings inside that. So that means it's clearly indicating that whenever we want to create a bytes object, then we should follow a certain rule that it should like it should contain only numbers, that too under the range of 256. Okay, in between 0 to 256, whatever numbers are there, only those we can, with those we can create a bytes object. I hope all of you understand the bytes object. Now let us move to the, okay, let us move to the next day, okay, next collection data type, that is nothing but bytes array. Okay, that is nothing but byte array. Now let us try to understand what is a byte array. Okay, byte array is also just like bytes, okay, just like bytes data type. That means whatever the rules we discussed till now, that means whatever the rules that we discussed till now, all those rules will be applicable for byte array object also. That means once you create a bytes object, okay, that means once you create byte array object, bytes object, whatever the rules are applicable, that for bytes, I already told you, right, for bytes we have to take only the data in between 0 to 256. Okay, for bytes we have to take the data in the under the range of 256. Same rule will be applicable for byte array also. Okay, now while creating a byte array object, same way we cannot use strings. Okay, strings also, I mean strings we cannot use inside byte array object. Okay, so all those rules will be applicable here. Okay, so all those rules will get applicable in a byte array object. Now let us see how this will work. Okay, byte array is also just like bytes data type. Now we'll see the difference between bytes and byte array. Okay, byte array is also just like bytes data type, but only difference is, okay, bytes is immutable. Okay, bytes is immutable. Okay, byte array is, okay, byte array is mutable. Okay, bytes is immutable and byte array is mutable. Okay, bytes is immutable and byte array is mutable. Let's see how that will work. Okay, so let me show you an example to create a byte array object. Okay, same way how we have created a list of collection of elements into bytes object, same way we can create a byte array object also. But to create a byte array object, okay, to create a byte array object, we need to use this function called as byte array. Okay, we need to use this function called as byte array function to create a byte array object. Okay, now let us see in ideally that how it will work. Byte array. Now let me create a list X which contains the numbers from 1 to 10. Now obviously type will be list by default. Okay, now if I want to create a byte array object, okay, if I want to create a byte array object, then what should I do? I should use this function called as byte array. Okay, x equal to byte array. Okay, x equal to byte array of x. Now see, I have created a byte array. Okay, I have created a byte array object with the help of byte array function. Now if I see the if I see the first element, okay, if I see the first element present in byte array object, the element is 1. Okay, same way if I see the element present at the index 4, okay, so 0 1 2 3 4, okay, the element present at the index 4 is nothing but 5. Okay, the element present at index 4 is nothing but 5. Okay, so in that way it will work. So now suppose what I told you, like, yeah, in byte array object there won't be like in byte array object, like it is completely mutable, right? Byte array object is completely mutable. Now x of 0 is initially 1. Now I don't want x of 0 as 1. Okay, I want to convert this x of 0 as something like 555. Okay, now, okay, why it is not allowing? Of course we are like violating this rule. Okay, we have a certain rule, right? That means like we cannot take the number which is beyond 256. So let us take some value which is below 256. Suppose I don't want x of 0 as 1. I want x of 0 as 55, something like that. Okay, I want x of 0 as 55. So now in this case it is happened. Okay, in the above case it is okay. In the above case it is not possible because, okay, in the above case it is not possible because it is immutable. But in the below case it is completely possible because that is completely mutable. Okay, that means like in immutable data types we cannot update the content present inside. Okay, in immutable we cannot update the content present inside the data type, but in mutable data types definitely we can update the content present inside. Okay, I hope all of you understand this both bytes and bytes array objects. Thank you so much. Bye.